purpose isn't static. What used to be your identity might now be your limitation. Many people stay stuck because they are loyal to old victories. You're praying for a revival when what God is actually demanding for is a reinvention. Reinvention is not rebellion. Rather, it's obedience to divine progression. Yeah, so basically, when what used to work no longer works, as far as I'm concerned, it's a call to reinvent yourself. Because there just comes a point in every purpose journey where the system that used to carry you no longer carries you, and it suddenly fails. And it's not because you're necessarily doing anything wrong. Sometimes it's actually because you've outgrown what used to be right. So in times like that, I believe the next thing is to reinvent, the next thing is to pivot. And many times we feel a sense of guilt when we believe it's time to pivot because we're usually loyal to our former victories. But if anyone is going to be reawakened to their purpose, they must understand that reinvention is not rebellion. Rather, it's obedience to divine progression. And at every point in time, I believe we're called to make progress according to a divine blueprint, according to a script that has been written concerning us. And so you look at things like Exodus 16, and in Exodus 16, we see there are different circumstances with the children of Israel, but at some point, manna ceased, and manna in itself was a divine system. But one day it stopped falling because the promised land doesn't run on wilderness protocols. So many times when our manna ceases, we feel it's a sign that God has left us. We feel it's a sign that, we have to go back and maybe do it better, do it right. No, it's just a sign that we are required to discover what the protocols for the new day is about. And that's why we have to stay reawakened. So many people stay stuck because they are loyal to old victories. You're praying for a revival when what God is actually demanding for is a reinvention. And many times when we talk about pivoting and we talk about, being reawakened, we forget that people like Joseph had his time of awakening, which was when he started to have dreams and he felt like, oh my gosh, there's something different about me. I'm called to be separate from my brothers. And the symbol of it was his father's endorsement by giving him a coat of many colors, and he wore it proudly. But the problem with the coat of many colors was that it was a declaration of a promise of a future. But in the future, there was no place for the coat. So Joseph couldn't wear his coat of many colors in Pharaoh's palace. So some garments must die for destiny to rise. And many times we're trying to get the garment of a promise and the garment of the covenant to fit into the future where manifestation is required. Many people spend so much time talking about their prophecies and talking about the promises, but actually never manifesting what was prophesied and what was promised. So I would say to anyone who needs to be reawakened that purpose isn't static. What used to be your identity might now be your limitation, and for many people, this is the reason why they actually never come into the fullness of who they're supposed to be and what they're called to be. So if you're in business or in governance, or any sector, reinvention separates people. It separates you. It separates relevance from relics. So when disruption comes, it's only the prepared people that rise. The familiar drown. So my question is, are you too familiar with where you're coming from? Are you too familiar with where you've been? Isaiah 43 says something to us from verse 18 to 19. It says, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. It says, see, I am doing a new thing. Our problem is our inability to see, to perceive, to sense the new day. We're so stuck in what we're used to that we don't have the capacity to see that something new is here. So this is why I'm teaching Reawaken to Purpose. It's time to stop dragging yesterday's tools into tomorrow's terrain. Reinvention is holy, is of God. It's who Jehovah is. Reinvention is now. So I hope I get to see you in class. God bless you.